Yo, what is up, guys? Ethan here, back with another video, and today we're back with our college football videos. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and also like the video. I'd really appreciate it, and it helps me out, and it only takes you like 5 seconds total. So in today's episode, I'm sorry that I didn't do the scheduling. Even though I said I was going to upload it Saturday, my schedule got just shaken, and I was not able to do it. So instead of doing that, that'll be in a future video. I don't know when. But today we have to start our Big Ten predictions. And if you didn't watch my my channel update, we're gonna be doing the divisions in the East, West, or North, South, depending on the conference. And we're gonna split that up into two, and then we're gonna go rank them by order, in my personal opinion. And today we'll be ranking the Big Ten East predictions. Also, this is not the best thumbnail. Even though I made this thumbnail like a month ago, and yeah, so these thumbnails may not look as good as the ones like the past few videos, but it really doesn't matter. By the way, that's Journey Brown, if you didn't know. So yeah, without any more interruptions, let's get straight into the Big Ten East predictions for 2020. So our first team may actually be a shocker to many, as I actually have Penn State winning the Big Ten East. And you look at Penn State's key wins, in my personal opinion, they will beat Ohio State at home, they go on the road and beat Michigan, they beat Indiana on the road after that tough Ohio State game, and then you also beat Iowa. Your key losses is going to be at West Virginia. So I know a lot of you are saying Penn State's not going to win the division, and they are not a better team than Ohio State. In this scenario that I have planned, I personally think by far Ohio State is the better team, but on how I have this schedule planned out, Penn State actually wins the division. Let's look at this team. You have the best linebacker in the nation, in my personal opinion, and Micah Parsons, as he led the team in tackles last year with 109. And they had a great running game led by Journey Brown, who was on the thumbnail, as he had a little under 900 yards with also 12 touchdowns running. And maybe the shocking performance he had was probably the main reason why Ricky Slade left Penn State. You do have not the best quarterback in the Big 12. I mean, not the Big 12, the Big 10. But you do have a really good quarterback in Sean Clifford, as he had 2,654 yards and 23 touchdowns last season. Also, we can't forget you have one of the best tight ends in the nation in Pat Freiermuth, as he did leave your team in receiving with 507 yards and 7 touchdowns. And you look at the schedule for Penn State, your toughest games are going to be at Virginia Tech, at Michigan, home versus Ohio State, and then a potential trap game at Indiana. I personally think Indiana is a very underrated team in the Big Ten this year. So I personally don't see Ohio State winning at Penn State this year, I'll be honest. But let's just say Penn State slips up on the road at Michigan or at Indiana. It would be a tiebreaker, as instead of that Virginia Tech loss. So they would both have 11-1 records and 7-1 conference records. That just spoiled Ohio State's, but Penn State only wins the division because they have a better conference record, plain out. And yeah, your key players are Micah Parsons, Journey Brown, Pat Freiermuth, and Sean Clifford. Your defense is returning they're probably most important starters, and I really like this Penn State team. Now let's go on to the second team. Oh, before I do that, this is the best case I can see Penn State having. If Penn State has a few injuries, or their coaching for some reason and James Franklin just slip up, the worst case I can see is like 9-3, and then you lose home versus Ohio State in one of those 2 road games. But that's your worst case, and I personally think 11-1 is the best case for Penn State, and I have them succeeding that. Now let's go on to the second team in the Big Ten East. So we look to our second team in the Big Ten East, and that is going to be Ohio State, as I have their final record being 11-1 with a 7-1 conference record. Your key wins are going to be at Oregon, home versus Michigan, Indiana, and Iowa. And your key loss is going to be at Penn State. If you look at this team schedule-wise for Ohio State, you really only have 2 tough teams, and both of them are road games. And that's going to be, you have to go all the way out west to Eugene and face Oregon, and then you have to go to Happy Valley and face the Penn State Nittany Lions. And besides those 2 games, besides maybe they usually occasionally like choke versus a Big Ten West team and on the road, and that team's Illinois. I don't see him slipping up. That's also at the end of the year. So besides your second to last game at Illinois, I really don't think you're going to lose that game. So yeah, you're basically tough. Your 2 toughest teams are going to be on the road this year. Easily by far, your best player is quarterback Justin Fields. He returns for his junior year after leading his team to 3,273 yards and 41 touchdowns passing. Rushing, you have a pretty good running back core with Master Teague, and you have a great wide receiver core. As your top 2 wide receivers this year are going to be Chris Olave, who led the team in receiving yards in 849, also 12 touchdowns, and then also sophomore Garrett Wilson, who's definitely going to have a way bigger role this upcoming season. Also, we can't forget about 5-star freshman Julian Fleming. He may do something, I'm not exactly sure, but look out for him. Also, you have one of the best interior offensive linemen in the nation in Wyatt Davis. So this Ohio State team is stacked, and on the defensive side, it's mainly going to be led by defensive end Zach Harris, and of course one of the best cornerbacks in the nation in Shaun Wade. So Ohio State, I personally think, is a better team than Penn State. Your best case is going to be 12-0. You can easily win that at Penn State game, and you can easily go 12-0. Worst case is going to be 10-2. I was really considering 11-1 as your worst case, but unless some injuries happen, because if you look at your backup quarterback, you have Gunnar Howick. I don't even know who that is. I'll be honest, I really haven't looked into him. Besides Justin Fields, your quarterback room is a little bit short. Fields did have some injury issues last year. Let's just say he gets injured again. Your quarterback really doesn't have anything. But that's only a slight chance. And if you lose at Oregon and at Penn State, those are 2 easy games you can lose. I think you go 1-1 in those 2 games. You have a 7-1 conference record, and you go 11-1. I really think 10-2 is there's going to be a slight chance it happens. I personally think 11-1 is the highest chance it would happen. That's what I have. But I would not be shocked if they go 12-0. And even though I think there's like a 75% chance Ohio State wins this division, they're not in this scenario. Now let's go on to the 3rd team in the Big Ten East. So the 3rd team I have coming out of the Big Ten East this year will be the Michigan Wolverines, as I have them going 8-4 this season with a 6-3 conference record. Your key wins are going to be home versus Wisconsin and Indiana, but your key losses besides home versus Penn State are all on the road, as you lose at Ohio State, at Minnesota, and also a away game at Wisconsin. So I'm not really high on this Michigan team this year. They do lose a lot of talent, but yeah, this team is going to be good. Your quarterback situation is definitely going to be the biggest thing going into this season. Will it be Dylan McCaffrey or Joe Milton? As we know, Dylan McCaffrey was the backup to Shea Patterson, but that piece of trash is no longer with Michigan, and I think a lot of Michigan fans are actually happy about that. But this offense, even though your quarterback room is going to be an icky situation, your running back room is definitely really good, as you do have back-to-back sophomores, as I'm going to assume Zach Charbonnet is going to be the starter, but Hassan Hankins off as a second down running back. He's going to do really good this year as well. And yeah, so those 2 running backs by far is definitely going to lead this offense. But Nico Collins, the wide receiver senior, is definitely, in my personal opinion, the best player on this offense. He's a 6'4" wide receiver, and he did not lead the team in receiving last year, as that was actually Ronnie Bell, as he had 758 yards and also a touchdown. But who knows? Even though that offense is going to be a little iffy this year, your best thing is your defense. You've returned a lot of starters, and your two main players are going to be Quante Pay, as he did leave the league, not the league, but the team in sacks, as he had 6.5, and also linebacker Cameron McGrone, as I personally think he's an underrated linebacker. He's a returning junior as well, as Pay is a senior. So this Michigan team, you just look at their schedule. I personally think you have 6 tough games, and that's all listed on the screen right now. And due to this schedule, I can really see this team not get clicked early, and you definitely go 7-5. I can really see it happen, but the best case is 9-3. I could understand if someone said 10-2, but 11-1 and 12-0 is definitely out of the picture for me, at least for the Michigan. So I have them going 8-4, but 9-3 and 7-5 are definitely possibilities I can see. But due to how I can't talk on how I have the scheduling, I have them going 8-4 with the 6-3 conference record. Now let's go on to the 4th team in the Big Ten East. And the 4th best team I have in the Big Ten East this year will be the Indiana Hoosiers. Your key wins this year will, you basically lose all your tough games, as your key wins are going to be home versus Purdue and Illinois, both rivalries. And then your key losses are at Ohio State, at Wisconsin, at Michigan, and home versus Penn State. So for this Indiana team, you have a super tough schedule. And I'll be 100% honest. If this team was in the Big Ten West, I can really see a possibility this team can go 10-2. I really love this offense this year, as it's led by Michael Penix Jr. And I think Michael Penix Jr., even though he may not be one of the best quarterbacks in the nation, probably the most underrated quarterback in my personal opinion. You also return your top receiver in Weop Filior. I don't even know if I said his name right, as he is a returning senior. And your leading rusher also returns in Stevie Scott III, as he's going to be returning for his junior season. I love this Indiana team. They've made their first bowl game since 2016 last year, so I really like this team. Wait a second. Oh, wait, never mind. My bad. But I really like this Indiana team. Tom Allen returns for his 4th year, and even though he's only 18-20, that record's definitely going to be over 500 if Indiana has a good year. And looking at their schedule, you start off tough at Wisconsin, but your non-conference is actually pretty easy. You're home versus Western Kentucky, Ball State. You're at UConn, but you have a really easy non-conference schedule. And since Indiana's in a tough division and a conference, this record's not going to look as good. I can definitely see Indiana having like an upset win at Wisconsin or home versus Penn State, and that can definitely bring them to 9-3. But due to the division they are in, the Big Ten, I don't see them going 10-2 or higher. I think the highest they go is 9-3, but you can also lose one of those non-conference games in an upset, or you can lose one of these key wins versus Purdue or home versus Illinois. And that would make your record 7-5. But I personally think Indiana plain out gets an 8-4 record with all your losses in conference. So now let's get on to 5-7 and the rest of the teams in the Big Ten East. So now we have 5-7, as the 5th team I have will be the Maryland Terrapins. The number 6 team will be the Michigan State Spartans, and the 17th I have will be the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. So first, let's start with Michigan State, and I think a lot of people can really see this team being 5-7, maybe even 6-6. But I'm just not a big fan of Michigan State. You have a pretty, I'm not going to say, you actually have a pretty tough non-conference schedule, as your Toledo is your toughest team. But besides that, you have to go all the way up to Provoto, and you have to play at BYU. And then also, you have a great new Miami team heading to your home stadium. That's going to be a tough win. The wins I have for you are versus Northwestern, versus Toledo, and versus Rutgers. And as we said, 2 of the 7 are going to be home games. I mean, conference games. All your wins are on home. But the reason why this is because you lost all your talent, and that good talent, they were not really good last year. You barely made a bowl game, as you did go 7-6, but yeah, you have a whole new staff in. You have the head coach Mel Tucker, who I'm personally not really high on. So I'm not really high on this Michigan State team. But you do have a really good running back in Elijah Collins as he returns for his sophomore season. You have one of the worst quarterbacks in the entire Big Ten in Rocky Lombardi. But I'm not really sure about the rest of Michigan State because I really don't personally watch them. But I'm not high on Michigan State at all this season. But let's go looking at Maryland now, and this could be a little bit shocking. I have their top players, Raheem Jarrett, the freshman, 5-star. He's definitely going to get some playing time early. I have them going 4-8 as a 2-7 conference record, and yeah. Your wins will be versus Townsend, versus NIU, versus Rutgers, and at home versus Michigan State. Jeez, my bad. But I like this Maryland team. It's definitely going to take another year or two to definitely get this team up. But your recruiting has been really good this upcoming year. You got a 5-star in Raheem Jarrett, and then you got 4 stars in Ruben Hippolyte and Penny Boone. So this your recruiting has been getting well, but it's definitely going to take a few years for Maryland. You haven't made a bowl game since 2016. And your quarterback situation is also something to look out for. You did have former Virginia Tech quarterback Josh Jackson. He transferred to Maryland, and he only had an okay season last year. And then also you have former 4-star quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, his brother. I can't even pronounce things today, like regular words, so a tough name like that I cannot probably pronounce today. But that quarterback situation is definitely something to look out for. Penny Boone, the freshman, he's probably going to be starting week 1, I'll be honest. And Raheem Jarrett is definitely going to be a second or third receiver on that team already. So this Maryland offense is definitely going to be something to look out for. That defense is the only question. Now we're just going to go on the Rutgers, and yeah, they are the laughingstock of the Big Ten. I have them going 1-11 and an 0-9 conference records. Their only win is versus Monmouth. You're in the first place. Your non-conference schedule besides Monmouth is actually really hard. Not hard, but you have to go to Temple, as I think Temple is a very underrated team in the American, and then you have a improved Syracuse team at home. So I think you lose both of those games. But like I said, this team would probably not even make a bowl game in the Conference USA. So I'm not high on Rutgers at all this year. But you do get Greg Schiano, his first year as he was a former Rutgers head coach, and now he's back this year. And then he also just got a new offensive and defensive coordinator, so that's going to be good. And yeah, your best recruit was actually Chris Long, who's a 3-star corner. This team is just going downhill, but I do think this new staff is definitely going to improve. But since they're in the Big Ten, it's not going to do that much. And your best player is probably Brandon White, this transfer from Ohio State. So that is it for my Big Ten East predictions. And in the comment section below, which team do you think will do better than I have or worse than I have? I already know a lot of people are going to say Penn State's not going to be number 1. But on how I think it is, that's going to be happening. So also in the comment section below, who do you think is the most underrated player in the Big Ten this season? So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, share, subscribe, and like always, have a good day. Peace out.